Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today we are going to be doing a honestly well overdue try on of some of the makeup that I purchased in the Sephora sale. Now I did do a haul recently showing you all of these items, and there are more items that are on the way because, you know, I just can't help myself. But I wanted to sit down and play with some of the makeup that you have already seen and kind of give you an idea of how I feel about it, what it looks like working in action, all of those super fun things. So if that is something you are excited to see, then you are in the right place. Before we get started, if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you will consider doing so and let me know what you have used from these products and your thoughts. And without any additional rambling, let's jump in to this Get Ready With Me. So the first thing that I'm going to be putting on today is from Lawless. So this is the Forget the Filler Overnight Lip Plumping Mask. I know it's supposed to be overnight, but I just am really excited to try it. This came in the little set that I picked up during the Sephora sale, and it is in the scent Cinnamon Sugar. Look how perfect that is. I do wish that it had come with an applicator of some sort. That would have been nice. But I am really interested to see how this works out. That feels very nice. I like that thus far. Yeah, and honestly, my lips need so much help right now. I have been so sick, and I really wanted to get this done last week. There was just no way. So I did pick up from Huda Beauty. This is the Easy Blur Foundation. I got mine in the shade Vanilla, and it's not a good match. None of this is going to be new impressions. I have been using all of these items since purchasing them, and this is not a win for me. And it's hard for me to tell if it's because the shade is so bad. Like, I don't know what I was thinking in store because I swatched it. And I was like, oh yeah, this will work fine. It does not work fine. So let me just kind of give you a quick swatch on my face and I'll show you what we're going to try to do to help, because this is just not, like, look at that. It is incredibly ghosty on me, and I'm already quite fair and quite pale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in some of my Revolution Silk Skin, because I bought this in a shade that was too deep for me. So I'm hoping that the two will kind of balance each other out a little bit. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit on my hand right there. Try not to go too much, because we can always add more. And then I'm going to add, say, probably about, what, a pump or so? See how much deeper that is? And maybe another one. There we go. A little half pump in there too. Let's kind of mix that up and see if this becomes something that's a little bit better for me. Yeah, I think that'll actually work a bit better. So we'll go ahead and put that on. So as I was saying, I just don't really know how to feel about this, because every time that I've worn it so far, it has just been on its own. And because the shade is so light, I don't know if the foundation itself, you can see it actually sitting on my skin, or if it's just a lot more noticeable because of the pore shade match. So I'm really hoping that this will kind of salvage it, because I just haven't been all that excited about this product, which is kind of a bummer because, you know, so many people have talked about how much they've been enjoying it. So I had really high hopes for it. But already that's looking quite a bit better than it had before, because I would look close up on my skin and it just was clinging in the strangest of ways and just looked very, very unnatural. And I know it's makeup. It's never going to be super natural or super undetectable, but I have foundations that come pretty close. So I do think that mixing in the other foundation has helped. and I look a lot less washed out and ghosty. So fingers crossed that this wears nicely throughout the day, because I would like to like what I buy, you know what I mean? So we'll put a pause there. We'll go ahead and put on, I am so excited to be so close to being done with this. Like, look at that. Look at that. I really believe that I can have this done by the end of the year. And that would be very, very, very exciting, because as I have gotten away from project panning, even though this is in my rolling 10 pan, I've been enjoying my makeup so much more because I feel so much less restricted and I can kind of bounce around from thing to thing. But it also means that I haven't used up as much makeup as I would have liked for the year. So to see this one so close to being empty is just really, really exciting. And I've yet to figure out kind of how to balance those two sensations of really enjoying playing with my makeup and getting good use out of my collection as a whole. And then also kind of that super satisfying feeling of finishing something up, because it doesn't happen incredibly often. But I am so stoked about this, and I really have high hopes and expectations that I can get it done by the end of the year, because that would just feel amazing. So for blush, I really want to get into some of these Merit blushes. I did pick up the little holiday mini 3-pack, and I've used 2 out of the 3 shades. And I'm glad that I have minis, because it is a really lovely product, but they are also very, very sheer. So let me give you swatches of all of them so that you can kind of see what we're working with. I did not do that in my original sort of unboxing video where I talked about everything that I picked up. But I do like them. They're just a lot more subtle than I think I was fully prepared for. But they are very pretty. Actually, I have used all 3 of these now that I've swatched them. Okay, so this one here at the end, this is the limited edition shade called Bespoke. And I really do love this shade so, so much. The pinkier shade in the middle is called Stockholm, which is this right here. And on the end, that berry shade is the shade Mood. I originally thought, yeah, I do think Mood is still the one that we're going to go with today, because I think it'll look nice with what I'm currently wearing. So I haven't been drawing it directly on my face. I've just been taking a brush and picking it up so that it doesn't go too crazy. But it adds just such a lovely natural flush to the cheek that has been really, really nice to work with. But if you are someone like me who also powders on top, you can lose this color really easily. So let me show you what it looks like when you swipe it directly onto the cheek, which I will do on this side once I move all of these teeny tiny little hairs. You, my sweet babies, do not need to be part of my makeup application today. All right. So as I was saying, I have been so super sick. I wanted to get this video done last week when it would have still been a little bit more relevant to the sale itself. But I mentioned in an earlier video that my kids have been really sick. And I've been working so hard to keep it under control. And it finally hit me, and it hit me hard. Like, I've had this cough for a good 6 weeks now. And when I looked it up online, did, Dr. Google, it was like, it's just a viral infection. It'll pass. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I didn't have a lot of other symptoms. I didn't have like fevers or anything like that. Although I did have a week of like extreme fatigue where I just could not get up. But other than that, once that passed, I really felt like things were going to start turning around. And then my sinuses rebelled. They full on revolted. And that was awful. So I finally went to the doctor and they were like, yep, so you've got bronchitis. Super fun, but it's viral. So there's nothing we can really do about it. but you also have a secondary sinus infection, which is why it feels like you've been punched in the face repeatedly. So they gave me a whole bunch of stuff. I've got a whole steroid pack. I've got antibiotics. I've got an albuterol inhaler. Like, I have the works. And it's been helping, which is, you know, really nice. I'm still congested. I tried actually to film this, Get Ready With Me, last week because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to power through. It's going to be fine. It was not fine. I wish that I hadn't just like immediately deleted it when I started editing. I sounded so bad. Like, I started editing. I was like, no one's going to be able to listen to this. This is just like, you know that when they say it sounds like you swallowed a frog? Like, it sounded like I had just like swallowed shards of glass and gravel. Like, it was so bad. I was like, what were you thinking? Come on now. So I took last week off. Did not do anything of any value, it seems. But I feel significantly better. I don't sound as better as I feel. So if you can still hear some of that congestion, that is why. But on the whole, I feel much, much better. The kids are seemingly a bit better, although my son has finally started picking it up too, which is such a bummer. And if you have kids, you know how this goes. Like, it just goes in these like waves. And it almost feels like if all of your kids can be sick at the same time, while that is exhausting and really difficult, it's almost like it's better in the long run, because it feels like when you've got one kid that's sick and you get them, you know, to where they're starting to feel better, and then another one starts to get it, then they run the risk of giving it back to somebody else. And so it's a lot. So hopefully everything will be fine. But yeah, this is what we are looking like pre-powder. I do like the way that the foundation is looking significantly more than I did with it by itself. And I love this color blush. I love how just healthy and dewy and gorgeous it looks on the cheek. I don't know if you can get away without powdering this though, because it is a very balmy texture. So if you don't mind that, then I would say go for it, because it just looks so healthy and beautiful. I powder everything. It's just how I feel most secure. And to do that, I am going to go in with the new Makeup by Mario powder. This is the Surreal Soft Blur Setting Powder. I picked mine up in the shade 2 Neutral Light. And this has some heavy shoes to fill. I am almost done with my Givenchy powder, my Prism Libre. Like, look how, like, there is just the tiniest little bit left. And my heart is so sad because I love that powder so, so much. And I've unfortunately put it onto a bit of a pedestal. And so while this is a nice powder, I think it's one that I'm going to have to kind of grow into, because I have such sadness about the Givenchy powder. But it is a lovely powder. I am not talking badly about it at all. It goes on really, really nicely. It has a lovely blur to it. I do wish that I had gotten the first shade, the one that's like kind of a translucent pink, because I think that that would have worked a little bit better for me. But this is a really nice powder, and I think that I will appreciate it more come next summer when I have just a little bit more color to me, because I think my skin has finally given up most of the little bit of tan I picked up over the summer. But it is, you can see, really smoothing, really nice, really, really lovely. So I am very happy that I have it. It's just hard to feel incredibly excited about it when I'm wanting it to be something else. I hope that makes sense. And no, that's not fair. I will not even sit here and pretend like that is a fair thing to want. It's just where I'm at. And then taking a very fluffy brush, I'm just going to very lightly go over the rest of my skin. But I have to ask, what is everybody up to? We are now firmly into November. We have finally, where I live, finally gotten a little bit of a cold spell come through. I am here for it. My husband is not so much, but I am totally here for it. I love cooler weather. And I am frustrated that this is probably the first week that I've been able to pull out my sweatshirts, because I am a sweatshirt kind of girl. There we go. That looks really, really pretty. Oh, and I've got some sunlight coming through, so sorry about that. But yeah, I'm very excited for this cooler weather. And the kids today have a half day at school. So even though it's like 45 degrees, we're all going for ice cream after school, and they are super excited about it. And I just think it's kind of hilarious a little bit. Let's see. I think let's skip over to the eyes, and then we'll see how much more complexion we maybe need to add to kind of balance it out. So let me zoom you in, and we'll take a look at the eyeshadow palette. So I went ahead and did my brows, got you pulled in all nice and tight, because we are going to be playing with this gorgeous baby right here. This is the Danessa Myricks Light Work Volume 6. This is the coolest palette I think I've seen in a long time as far as innovation goes. So you've got the main palette right here, but it comes apart. So the first thing you can do is you can pop this little plate off. It has a mirror on the back. I have not pulled my little sticker off of it. But then when you open up the palette itself, it is all of this beautiful, colorful, sparkly duochrome, multichrome sort of action. You have some really intense, beautiful, pigmented, colorful shades down here. You also have these amazing iridescent shades along the top, which are some of my absolute favorites. But if you're like, you know what, it's a cute palette, but it's too bulky, just you wait, because, ooh, let me see if I can do it without, yeah, there we go. All of these little trays, they pop out, and because the whole thing is magnetic, you can do a bunch of different things with it. So certainly you could keep this the way that it is, put in one of them, and then carry different magnetic shadows and do a create your own palette sort of situation. Or, especially for traveling, you can stack them, and then the little mirror piece pops right on top. It is so innovative and fun. So you can stack all three. You can take just one or two. It comes with a little like carrying pouch, so that once you have it broken up and sort of stacked, then you can slide it in there, and it makes traveling so convenient. This, like I said, this is so incredibly innovative, and I love that so much. So let me go ahead and get these put back in so that we can take a look at what we might be putting on our sweet little eyeballs today. But it's been so much fun. Every look that I've created with this palette so far has just been show-stopping. So I think what I want to do is something with like this column right here. So maybe putting some of this shade here on the outer corner, a little bit of this. This looks so unassuming in the pan. Let me give you some swatches of these, because they are amazing. And the feel of these shadows is so nice. Like this one down here feels like it would be like a cream powder, or a cream shadow, but it's not. But look at these. And they are so fun. Like, these are what you typically would think of when you think of like indie shadows. I don't know if you're able to get kind of the full like magnificence that is this palette. There are so many amazing shades in here. And while I am an indie girl at heart, this is some stiff competition, my friends, some stiff competition. Now, you will notice that it is, as I said, all shimmer. So we are going to need to go in and build a base for it. So I thought that a good sort of pairing would be my original Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, because this has just a lot of really soft, more neutral sort of shades in it, because I do want the Danessa Myricks palette to be the absolute star of the show. And I feel like these are going to pair really nicely together. So I am going to go in with what's left of my Milani eyeshadow primer. I'm really glad to be almost done with this. When I had initially purchased it, I liked it a lot. And now I'm just kind of not sure if this is something that I would immediately repurchase. What is your favorite eyeshadow primer? Because I'm on the market. I've tried quite a few over the years, and I want something that is going to help my shadows blend nicely on them, but also going to create a nice base. I do always go in with the NYX Glitter Primer when it comes to the actual shimmer shades that I wear, but I don't know what it is about this that I just haven't been feeling as impressed by. So I'm going to start with just sort of setting that down with this shade right here. This is just an Amazon brush. I don't even remember. It's real soft, but it's just a whole bunch of letters that don't make a word for me. But I just want to kind of get a little bit of a base down because I don't want these mattes to be incredibly prominent. Like I said, I really want this to be a very shimmer forward look. But as I asked, what have you guys been up to lately? It is mid-November at this point. Have you started decorating for holidays? Are you a holiday decorator? I'll be very honest, I am not a Christmas person. I'm just not. But my kids, you know, they love it. So of course I will do everything I can to go to town. And they especially love decorations. They love all decorations, to be very honest with you. I am going to now go in with my Sephora number 24 brush. And I think I'm going to go into this sort of next lightest shade here. Again, we're just building a shape. And I'm not going to go too intensely with it. But yeah, my kids are very into decorating, so we'll be doing that pretty soon, I would say. We had to postpone my son's birthday because of the hurricane. When Hurricane Helene came through, we were without power. The town that I live in, more specifically, we were out of power for about 12 hours or so. So we didn't have it quite as bad as some other folks in our area did. But the place where we're having his party, they didn't have electricity for like 4 or 5 days. So we ended up having to reschedule his birthday. So that party is going to be this weekend and we are very much looking forward to it. But then I think the weekend after that is when we're going to start decorating. We have to be a little careful though, because my HOA is a little out of control. They've been putting up on the Facebook page about rules and regulations when it comes to how long decorations can be up and out, which is honestly so annoying. Like, I don't know. I have kind of a split feeling when it comes to HOAs. I do understand their purpose, but I feel like they can get real nitpicky real quick. I mean, granted, yeah, we don't need to have decorations up for, 6 months at a time, right? Something I could be guilty of if left to my own devices. Like, I get the need, but to be, especially with Thanksgiving being quite late this year, it feels like, them being real sticklers for not having any decorations up for more than 30 days is just a little silly. And you can see in our neighborhood, those that are not listening because they've got like full lights on their houses and everything. And it kind of cracks me up a little bit. My neighbor across the street is one of them. And it makes me giggle. But gosh, Facebook fighting in HOAs and neighborhoods and stuff like that. There is someone that I see on Instagram Reels that has a really funny series about, people bickering in HOA Facebook forums, Facebook groups and stuff like that. And it makes me giggle. All right, this is a Sephora 27 and just taking this slightly darker shade in the corner here and using it to build up just a little bit of depth in the outer corner. And that'll probably be the last of what we do for the minute before breaking into the Danessa Myricks palette. But yeah, we'll probably start decorating more in the house than outside of the house because I'm not sure what I want to do. The way that our house is and the way that, more importantly, our driveway is, trying to get up on a ladder to hang lights on the house is terrifying. I did it last year and I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of myself. It did not look very good. And so I will not be making that mistake again. So I don't know what we're going to do there, but I know what I am going to do right now is I'm going to go into this shade right here. Like I said, this feels more like a cream in my opinion, but it feels a lot easier to work with than, say, the Natasha Denona cream to powder shadows. I find those to be, depending on the color, kind of tricky to work with sometimes. But this is, as you can see, isn't as crazy sparkly as some of the other shades, which is why it's working so nicely here on the outer edges. And you might be looking at this and going, Ashley, you hate putting on eyeshadow with your fingers. And that's true. But for some reason, here lately, it's just been what I've been gravitating towards. And not just with this palette, with other palettes that I've been playing with as well. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just expanding my horizons. But this is applying really, really beautifully. And the thing with my fingers is I just don't feel like I have enough control, which is why it's not my preference. But, you know, like I said, we're expanding our horizons. Just taking that original 24 brush from the Sephora Eye collection just to diffuse this edge out a little bit. Because I'm just unable to get a nice, smooth, pretty look with just my fingers. But I find that these shades don't always pick up as nicely with a brush, which is why I'm doing it this way. All right, so let's see. I kind of want to go in. All right, so you probably can't see the shifts. Oops, wrong direction. This one, it goes kind of green. And I think I kind of want to play with it. All right, you be the judge. I don't know why I'm saying that because we're not here together, but I'm curious what you guys would think. I think, okay, so this one is the original shade that I was going to use. This one is that golden green shade. And then this one I feel like is too yellow. So, gosh, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with my original instincts. Because you know me, I always default to green. I just do it. I always default to green. And I'm trying really hard not to. So, we'll do what we originally planned. We'll go in with this shade right here. And just sort of, see, this one is so smooth. Like, it doesn't even feel like, it doesn't feel like a cream, but it also doesn't feel like a powder either. It's just, it's like if ice were room temperature. It just has that really smooth glass-like feeling to it. It's so interesting. Like, look at that. I don't know if you can tell really well. Oh, so stinking pretty. Like, I cannot get over how much I love this palette. I have a few of the Danessa Myricks palettes that she's done over the years. And I will say, I am pretty sure that this one is my favorite from her. That is so freaking pretty. That is so freaking pretty. I am going to try to go in with probably this one right here. This is a Sephora 15. And see if I can sort of build that up, especially in sort of the inner area. Oh, you know what? I forgot because I was talking too much. I didn't put on any glitter primer. This will be a very interesting experience today. But it is spreading nicely. I think that's what it is that I have a hard time picking up all of the shadows with the brush, although this one seems to be working a lot better than some of the other ones. But it does spread nicely. So once it's on the eye, you can kind of move it around a bit with the brush, which is really, really helpful. That's really nice. That's really, really nice. Okay, I'm going to kind of wipe the brush off on just a washcloth and try to pick up a little bit of that first shade that I used and see if I can kind of get a little bit of a better blend on the outer edge without sticking my big old finger in it. Yeah, I think that's working. I think that's working. So that is the only thing that I will say, is that if you decide to pick up this palette, which I honestly, of everything that I purchased in the sale so far, I do think that this is the one that I would say definitely pick up if you're into the same kinds of shadows that I am. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But with that said, I do think that there is a little bit of experimentation that needs to happen with this palette, since the shadows can have a bit of a different texture from one another, depending on what it is that she was going for in that particular shadow. So that is not a deterrent by any means. It's just something to kind of take note of if you are picking up this palette, which again, I really think that you should. It is so, so pretty. Okay, so switching back in for a few mattes, I'm gonna go ahead and use from Sigma. This is an E20, it's just like a flat brush there. And taking, again, just a little bit of the shade here in the corner. I'm just gonna use that to line a little bit and to help maintain a little bit of that shape, since I got a little crazy and I lost a little bit of it under here. Yeah, just do kind of a faux line moment and help with that there. And then taking from, I think this is from a Crown brush collection, the C513. It's just a little pointy brush, but it's nice and floppy and flexible. I'm gonna go back in with, ooh, that shade right there, and just use that to kind of bring everything together. I don't want a crazy under eye, but I do want a little bit of balance there. And I do think that's really, really, this is really, really pretty. I cannot quit looking at it. And the shade that I used in here, it does have a bit of a transparent base to it. So every time I move my head, you just get a different dimension to it. I promise at some point I will stop raving about this, but she pretty. She real pretty. I love that so, so much. And then I think the final thing before I pop on some mascara is I am going to go back into this palette with just a little tiny detailing brush. And I'm going to pick up some of this shade right here to pop in the inner corners. Definitely one of my favorite things to do, especially with iridescent shades. That is, oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that picked up so nicely on this brush. Oh, I love this. That's pretty. That's pretty. Okay, let's pop on some mascara and then let's play with a lip combo. But I have been able to use this one a few times. I love the sprayer on this. Like, oh, it's so satisfying. And the thing that I like is that it's nice and fine without being too fine. When the spray is too fine, I find that it doesn't feel like I've got anything on my face and I can't see a difference. This is a beautiful sort of in between of those two. It has a lovely, nice, light coconut. Oh, you know what it reminds me of? Does anyone remember the old Marc Jacobs? They had a whole like summer collection and they had a setting spray that smelled almost just like this. They had a bronzer that smelled like this. Oh, that's such a nostalgic scent. Like, it's coconutty without being sunscreeny. I like that. I do like that, and I love that it smells like that Marc Jacobs collection because I was very new to YouTube, and I picked up some of those items when they were on clearance, and I loved them so much. Although I feel like the sprayer for the setting spray was terrible and I had to put it in something else, but I liked it, and I loved that I felt like I was playing with bougie makeup. So it's a nice kind of throwback moment to that. All right, so we are going to do some lips. I've been loving these Merit lipsticks. I did do a swatching video of all 3 of them, so if you haven't seen that, I'll make sure to link it down in the description box for you. But I went in depth with the application and everything about these 3 gorgeous lipsticks right here. I think for today, I've been using Bespoke like nuts. It has been living in my purse, but I think today I'm going to try Black Tie. I think it's the only one that I haven't worn since that video. And I think it'll go nicely with everything else that I'm wearing. I'm liking the way that Lawless lip treatment was feeling. I'm kind of sad to be taking it off, but I do want to find a lip liner. There it is. I think I'm going to pair this with my Lisa Eldridge Sculpt and Shade Lip Pencil in 1N. It's not going to be the same color as the lipstick, but really I'm just trying to put down a border, essentially. But I really love this lip pencil. It hangs out really nicely. And it's very similar to the actual shade of my lips, a little bit darker, but very similar. But I struggle with lip lines in places that are rather undefined and soft, and so I like having something to help kind of keep it all together. But this is the shade Black Tie. It is in the Merit Matte formula, and it is lovely. I really enjoy the Merit lipstick formulas. It is just so comfortable and nice, and I love the way that the color sort of sits so that it goes on but not at like full intense opacity. So you can really build it up, but it also really meshes well with your natural lip color so that it doesn't look overly artificial or overly like it's floating on top of your lips. I think it's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. I really like how this turned out. All right, so let's do a rundown of all the new things that I used today and kind of my final thoughts on them for the minute. Starting with the first thing I used, which was the Lawless Forget the Filler Overnight Lip Plumping Mask. I liked this. I liked this a lot. I wish I hadn't had to wipe it off. It felt very plush and nourishing on my lips, whereas it also felt like it was actually doing something. I could feel the absolute slightest tingle. So I am very excited to have this and to be using it. And I think I'm going to now move it downstairs into my bedroom and maybe bring my Laneige sleeping mask up here to use in the mornings. But I'm very excited about continued use with that. The foundation, the Huda Beauty Easy Blur. It's looking better today than it has in the past because I was able to kind of bring that shade a little bit more towards what would be natural for me. But I still think that if I could go back and talk to pre-purchase Ashley, we probably would decide against it. I can still see it sitting like on my skin and clinging to like my little baby hairs. I don't shave my face. That idea just makes me a little bit nervous. And other foundations that I have don't sit the way that this sits. So I know it's very popular right now and a lot of people have really been liking it. I'm just sadly not among them. I will hold on to it. I will keep using it. But it is something that I think I would go back and kind of warn myself off of. As far as the powder goes, the powder is really nice. I know I was slightly disparaging while I was using it, and I wasn't really intending to be. I think that this is nice. I do wish that I had gone with the lightest shade instead of this one that does have a little bit of a tint to it. Time will tell. I will use this up. I will enjoy using it. It does give a beautifully blurred look to the skin. I've used this with other foundations and I really have been enjoying it. I think it's just a combination of my extraordinarily high expectations and possibly not have been picking up the proper shade. But all in all, I think it's an excellent buy and I'm looking forward to using it throughout the coming months. As far as the blushes from Merit go, I'm very happy that I picked up this little trio. I will say I don't think it's my favorite formula because of the way that I wear makeup. I do feel like for me, it's just a little bit sheer. I think if you are a more no makeup kind of person or someone that doesn't need to powder or things like that, I think that you might have a little bit more of an affinity for these. I think they're beautiful. I think the formula is absolutely lovely. I just don't know if they're my favorites. Also, this is 100% a run, don't walk. I know it is expensive. I will not beat around the bush. It is expensive. And that is not going to be a winner for everybody. And I 100% respect that. If you are somebody who loves interesting, colorful, textured makeup, you probably have already looked at this and purchased it possibly. But it is, in my opinion, it is worth the price tag for its innovation, for its quality. And I cannot say enough good things about it. Now, with that being said, there are a ton of indie brands out there that are doing really exciting, fun things with makeup. And I hate to say it, but the indie market has gotten more expensive over the past year, 2 years than it was when I first started getting into indie makeup. And there are a lot of palettes that honestly aren't too far off in price point from this. So obviously, totally up to you, your finances, your bag for sure. But I would say if you are on the fence about it, it's really good. It's really good. If you have a Sephora near you that has this in stock, I would highly recommend going in and swatching it because I think that's going to be the thing that is going to really set you over the edge one way or another. But for me, this is hands down my favorite thing that I purchased to this point in the sale. I think it's really, really, really fantastic. And honestly, a close runner-up is going to be the lipsticks. I love this little lipstick set. I think it is fantastic. Again, I do have a whole video swatching all of the shades, talking about the different formulas and things like that. But this is a lovely, sophisticated, elegant formula, and I really enjoy it so much. I think that the colors that were chosen for this set were really smart. You have a variety of finishes, intensities, things like that, and I think it's a really, really good buy. I know when I checked most recently, it was sold out online, but you may still be able to find it in store, or honestly, it might even be on the Merit website. I'm not sure, I haven't looked, but I do feel like this is an excellent, excellent buy. And then finally, the last new thing that we used is the setting spray from Makeup by Mario. And I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I've used it a handful of times at this point, and I do like it. I'm not sure that it melts my makeup in quite in the way that I was hoping for, but I do really quite like it. It smells so nostalgic for me, and I do like that quite a bit. I think the sprayer on it is fantastic. I like that it is not like a sticky sort of makeup extender. This is like a 16-hour wear formula, but it doesn't feel like hairspray, which I 100% appreciate. Like those products, they have value and they work really, really well. But on the day-to-day, that's just not what I personally need. And I don't find it very comfortable when they're real sticky like that. But I do think that this is lovely, and I'm interested to see how I feel about it as I continue to use it over time. And I'm really excited to compare it to the NARS one that I have on order. So once I can do that, that'll be fun for me to kind of compare and contrast the two. So yeah, that is everything that is new for this video here. If you saw my haul video, then you'll know that there are a few other things that I picked up that I do plan on using in the coming weeks. Like I said, I was sick and nobody wanted to listen to that gravel voice of mine. It was laughable. It was so bad. But I am very excited to continue using all of these products. I would love to know if you have tried any of these and what your thoughts are. And honestly, have you tried this? And like, what are your thoughts? Because the only people I've seen talking about it are, you know, YouTuber people. And so I don't know. I'm just so curious what everybody thinks about it, since I am definitely falling outside of the mainstream there. But yeah, I'm very, very curious. So let me know all of your thoughts down below. If you've made it to this point, thank you so much. I love y'all so, so much. And if you've enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing before you leave. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.